Welcome back. The struggling economy remains to be a major issue that Washington just can't seem to figure out. Now Florida Senator Marco Rubio presenting his plan to boost prosperity in America once and for all. He joins us now to explain how that exactly works. Senator Rubio, thank you for being with Fox and Friends this morning. Certainly we're facing a nation that's struggling when it comes to the economy and jobs. What's your plan, and how do you feel about minimum wage, Keystone Pipeline? Are those solutions?
Yeah, a couple points. First of all, what is actually going to grow our economy, which is dramatically underperforming, is the combination of three things. Number one, we need more innovation. Not just to build the things we already do, but to invent new things. And we're the greatest innovators in the world, but American regulations are keeping innovation out of the way. We need more investment. We've got $4 to $5 trillion of uninvested cash sitting in corporate accounts of American companies, and they're not going to invest it as long as the tax code becomes a pro-investment tax code and until we deal with the national debt. And we need to expand our access to market, and that includes, for example, selling energy abroad. We now have millions of people around the world that are driving cars and living in modern homes that want to and can afford to buy American energy. So you asked about Keystone Pipeline. Not only should we do Keystone Pipeline, we need multiple pipelines around this country to get the production of oil and natural gas from the drilling site to the export or distribution site. Right. And the good news is the government doesn't have to spend a penny on that. The private sector will build it if only we remove some of the overlapping regulatory impediments to that.
But the part of the overlapping problem is there's an administration right now in office who is not into some of those pathways of energy that you just discussed. In fact, it's all the private sector that's brought us to the point now of almost being energy self-sufficient. How do you plan on overcoming 2 years of blockages?
Well, first of all, I think we need to continue to make the case to the American people so we can get more people to come up here that believe these ways and ultimately have a president that does as well in the long term. But here's the other point that I would make. I think it's important to also point out that the ideas that they're offering are stale ideas. You asked a moment ago about the minimum wage. $10.10 an hour is not good enough. That's not the American dream. We need jobs that pay $30, $40, $50 an hour. You know, 43% of the new jobs being created in America pay $16 an hour or less. You cannot rebuild the American dream. You cannot reinvigorate a vibrant middle class on $10.10 an hour or $16 an hour for that matter. And so we have to, the only way we're going to create more of those higher paying jobs is the combination of vibrant economic growth through investment, innovation, and expanding access to markets, and higher educational reforms that allow more people to get the skills they need for the 21st century middle class jobs.
Senator Peter Johnson here. One of the other things that I find really interesting and attractive, you talk about a new corporate tax system by which all businesses could take an immediate deduction for all investments and generate new, healthy, well-paying jobs in this country.
Yeah, I want to see businesses take all the money they're making in profit, or as much of it as possible, and reinvesting it back in the business. That's why I outlined a moment ago, American companies are sitting on about $4 trillion of cash. Just as a point of comparison, that is larger than the German economy, the entire German economy. That's what we have in American corporate cash in bank accounts. How do we get that money from the cash to an investment, to hire new people, to grow the business, to give worker raises? Well, the way you create a tax code that says the more you invest, the less you pay Uncle Sam. And that's what we hope to do with the tax changes we're proposing.
All right, let's move on and talk about the Ukraine. Right now, we understand the administration has turned down an opportunity to have the Secretary of State talk to Vladimir Putin. He's rejected our last overtures of peace. We've moved some ships and some planes and some AWACS over into the region. What else would we do? And do you agree with former Secretary of Defense Gates that Crimea is lost?
I don't agree that Crimea is lost. I think Crimea is in a perilous situation because, you know, the Russians are now occupying that area. They're going to have a referendum on the 16th. But how can you have a free and fair referendum when your troops are in the street? Every day they make more and more aggressive moves. It's quite frankly shocking and outrageous how they're getting away with this. And meanwhile, Europe wants to do something about it, but they're trapped, because they feel like we get so much of our energy from Russia. If we go too far on this, it could destabilize us. So I think there's two things that have to happen here. I think we have to exact the maximum amount of consequences for what Putin has done, isolate Russia internationally for what it's done, but we have to do something else that's really important. We have to begin to create a system and help our European allies put in place a system where they become more independent from the Russian grip on energy. That means not just exporting our natural gas, but helping them develop their own native capabilities. Otherwise, Russia is going to continue to be able to hold much of Europe hostage to its whims in the future.
Should America be cutting its troop levels, Senator, to pre-World War II levels?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I would say to you that the world today is as dangerous as it's been since the end of the Cold War. You have Al-Qaeda is present in 12 to 13 different countries in a major way through 5 different major cells. You have Iran, you have China's territorial ambitions, you have North Korea's now nuclear power, and now we're seeing what's happening in Russia. Here in our own hemisphere, you have Venezuela, a vermin enemy of the United States, cracking down on innocent protesters in the streets. Cuba continues to invest over 1,000 individuals to spy and do things against the United States of America. So the world is a very dangerous place, and I think that the United States needs to continue to be capable of handling multiple crises at the same time.
Senator Rubio, we thank you for being with Fox and Friends. We always appreciate your candid and direct responses.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you.